Yeah, I had to get started.
Okay, we are here at Lukai Bulls TV with Michael Jordan from Gorilla Kennels. Glad to have you here for the first time. We know the contributions that you made to the bully community, um, but we wanted to hear from the horse's mouth today. Um, what have you been up to, Michael? What has been going on with Gorilla Kennels lately?
Lately, nothing,
Not
nothing
much.
much. Trying to basically get back into the dogs. Been. That's basically it. Just trying to kind of get back into it, get back into the ring, get back into breeding. It's been about maybe 10 years, 8 to 10 years, but now I'm starting to get back into the flow of things. So,
Okay. And for some of those that may not know, could you tell them some of the dogs that you've produced and owned?
um, owned I own Patty Cakes, Machiavelli's Patty Cakes. I also owned Gorilla Sugar Daddy, Gorilla's Mugshot, uh, pretty much Sugar Daddy and Boots, the combination. I owned them both, but Boots was produced by Diablo Kennels. Um, just owned, I could go off on a lot of dogs I produced and probably sold and were mine, you know, um, down the line. But owned, Hannibal, Sugar Daddy, um, Boots, Mugshot. Um, Man, I had a gang of dogs. Lil Kim, all the pretty much. I had probably about 4 or 5 dogs off of the Sugar Daddy and Boots, and that's the one that produced Apple Teeny pretty much.
Oh,
I'm trying
the
to
the
think,
the,
man.
the world famous grand champion Appletini.
Yeah, she was produced by me, Gorilla Kennels, off of Sugar Daddy and Diablo's Black Velvet,
Okay.
which we call Boots.
And was she your keeper from that
Uh,
litter?
no, she was third pick. Um,
Third.
There was a dog named Medusa before her, and then another dog named Lil Kim. Medusa ended up passing away. Um, Lil Kim I ended up keeping and did a couple breedings with her, and she was pretty much third pick female out of that breed.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. I've spoken to you before, about um the dogs and the things that you've done in the community. Would you feel free to share about some of the things that you've accomplished in the ring in the past?
Um, Accomplished. I would think by far probably I would say probably one of the top winningest kennels back in the day. I don't know what people have done now. But I had well, when I bought patty cakes, probably about the right after I did the breeding with that produced Sugar Daddy, Silver Bullet, and Baby Cakes and the other baby. Um, I went runner up at the Nationals behind King Kamala that year. So Sugar Daddy was probably about 3 or 4 months. I think they're about 3 or 4 months, and I got her back in shape, put her back in the ring, went out there and kind of sparked the whole little thing of me taking these dogs and try to take them to the next level in the ring. Um, but she's probably when I got her, she had never won a show, never been to a show whatsoever. The first show I took her to was the Nationals, and I got runner up.
Wow.
Um, After that, I've showed a couple more dogs. Sugar Daddy did pretty well. Um, he's probably got at least 7 to 10 best in breed or best in shows. He would have definitely been a grand champion, but they didn't have grand champions back then. Same thing with Baby Cakes. If you look up Gorilla Kennels Baby Cakes, she was probably another dog that's won as much as I wouldn't say as much as Appletini, but really close. She was winning everything, came runner up won the second show at the Nationals 2 years after when Patty Cakes won. So the first show was won by, I don't remember who. There was 2 shows that year at the Nationals. Gorilla's Baby Cakes ended up winning the second show, which we're pretty, like, we thought she was going to take fucking both shows. She was that nice of a dog. But she ended up doing really good in the first show, which was the Nationals, and then taking the whole show, which was the next show. And then we campaigned her, man, like for like 2 years. And she did pretty well. And then that's when I ended up doing my breeding with Sugar Daddy and Boots, and producing the next pretty much segment of my show dogs or whatever.
Okay. So who would you
A lot
say?
of stuff is lost. Go ahead.
No, 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 you continue. You continue.
A lot of stuff is lost, man. I don't know if it's not about a remembering thing. We went to so many shows and done so much stuff. It was like I could probably, and then I try to go look everything up. I got trophies and I got dates and stuff like that, but it's kind of hard to put a lot of this stuff together. But I will say this: people that know me, that know that we were around and what we were doing, as far as like Gorilla Camp, because that's what people don't understand. It was like Gorilla Kennels. Yeah, I was producing the dogs, but I also had 4 or 5 people that actually went to shows with me. Jose, Junior first. Me and Junior, we did a lot of shit together. And that's why I say when people try to suppress the history of Gorilla Kennels, man, we've been in the ring 5 years before Appletini was even born and winning at a high level. You can ask pretty much anybody that was around back then. So it's like when the Appletini thing comes up and they just kind of act like it was only Appletini, like we had dogs winning shows years before she was even born. My kennel's been winning shows since I first started really jumping into it. And that's what I'm saying. We don't just got champions or titles. I have probably about 7 or 8 dogs that actually have won shows. I don't know, like whole shows. I don't know too many people that have done that. You know what I mean? At all.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of, I don't know. Nowadays, it's just a little bit different now. I don't know. I just look at things a little bit differently now. But as far as back then, we were dominating along with a couple other kennels that actually were trying to produce dogs with structure, with movement, and basically against odds, because there were so many people that just really didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like back then, there was like maybe 4 or 5 kennels: Razor Nation, Gomez Pits. I forgot. I think, was it Pure Blue? I don't know. They used to have Diesel, and they had a dog named Jaeger. I can't remember the name of the kennel, but there was only like a real few kennels that people honestly respected for having show dogs that were actually winning all the time in California. And it was probably only 4 or 5 kennels. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's a little weird, and I was probably winning a little bit more than everybody else at that time, because this was before like Bistro started coming around, and all those. I don't know. It was just later on down the line. You know what I mean? So I'm talking about the era with Hef, Kamali, Paco. Those were the dogs that I've seen in the ring and has competed against personally myself. Also with the bistros and stuff like that with Appletini down the line. You know what I mean?
So, so from what you've seen in the past and what you're seeing now in the bully community, what do you think is something that would, I guess, help the American bully, or something that is most needed in the community?
The number one thing, or a few things?
Well, I mean, feel free to share. Yeah, if you feel like there's a few things.
I say the number one thing is knowledge. There's a lot of people that sit up there and say they know structure and know how a dog is supposed to be built. Structure is universal. It shouldn't. I don't know. It's just a lot of people, like in the American Bully. I guess they want to tell people they got structured dogs, so it kind of makes them look better. I don't fucking know, but this shit is far from a structured dog. Like until we get And well, I would say this: it's the people and the judges. If the judges is gonna pick fucked up dogs, that's on them. That's number one. Number two, if you're gonna let them pick fucked up dogs, that's on you. If you bring a superior animal in the ring, and that's the problem, everybody thinks they have superior animals instead of breaking them down. That's why you're losing to these fucked up dogs because you got the same fucking dog. You see what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of people that sit up there and think honestly they got something different or their dog's better and da da da. The structure of these dogs have been bred out a long time ago. There's no fucking turn, and if you do see it, it's like a fluke. Top lines are fucking shot. They kind of got the fronts down because I see a lot of American Bullies with nice fronts, but then the shoulder assembly is fucked up. To me, it's pretty much like a gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, okay, bring your dog to the show, act like you got show dogs, and we're gonna pick what we want to pick and push what we want to push. But at the end of the day, it's like when we were coming out and we are bringing out these dogs that actually have structure and movement, and actually were nice looking dogs, and we'll lose to a dog with a king tail, we're pointing that shit out. We're recording shows and sending that shit to the ABKC. Like, man, look what we're losing to. Like, what's the whole purpose of us actually breeding by the standard, putting dogs together, bringing them out, and losing to these fucked up dogs? When I was around, it hardly like maybe at the end, I guess, because I can't really call my end. Like when I was just like fed up and fuck it or whatever. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of people that just had nice dogs and were tired of losing with them. You see what I'm saying? And then we started making noise and making progress to where they were actually picking better dogs and people were getting held accountable. But then for some reason, they brought that extreme class in. I was like there when all that shit happened. That shit came in, kind of changed things a little bit. But if you had nice dogs with size and structure and that's a little bit more size and structure, you could still pretty much beat those dogs. We still wasn't losing to those dogs, but I think the beginning of the end was actually letting those dogs in. You see what I'm saying? They let those dogs in. And this is another thing. This is what people got to understand about me. I like all these dogs. I just want them to move correctly. I don't care if the motherfucker's big as shit. I don't care if it's small as shit. I don't really like that. That really has nothing to do with American Bullies, American Bully. But my whole thing is this: if this is what we're shooting for, let's try to get them as correct as possible. And I'm gonna say this: people ain't trying. Like I can put that shit out there. Like people are not trying because they would have better dogs. I tried and I ended up with better dogs. Even though I was winning with my dogs before, I brought some shit in. I tried to change it just a little bit, and it changed. I bred those dogs for years, and they upheld their structure. Like it's not impossible. You see what I'm saying? It's just that's not what people want. You know what I mean? Like we can sit up here and like sugarcoat it. That's not what people want. It's a small percentage of American Bully people want to be accountable for what they have in their yard. The rest
that is
don't.
very true. That is
You
very
see what
true.
I'm saying? So when you start talking like this, it's just like me. I got so much hate because I was just trying to actually do it right and not be a fucking puppy mill. The majority of these dudes are straight puppy mills. You breeding dogs with no purpose and acting like you got something going on, that's a puppy mill. You can say whatever you want to say. It's a puppy mill. There, people don't get what a puppy mill is. That's what it is. Like you're breeding dogs without a purpose. You're breeding dogs with a fake purpose. You're just selling dogs. You see what I'm saying? So, and then, okay, let me kind of back up a little bit. I'll tell you where the problem came from. These dogs got too popular overnight. When fifth and sixth pick is worth money, nobody cares about structure. Nobody cares about lining shit up right. Nobody gives a fuck. There's no way that fifth and sixth, there's no way that nothing past first. I would even say nothing past first pick is supposed to be bred off any fucking breed. So when you have everybody just breeding dogs with no purpose, it's like, first of all, these dogs didn't have hell of a structure to fucking begin. Like, y'all keep thinking there was so many razor edge dogs or Gotti line dogs that actually were nice and had good movement and all that shit. No, it was only a few, just like any other fucking breed. But for some reason, people think that every dog, just because it's theirs, is worth something. That's not how shit works. You know what I'm saying? Gotta put a certain value on shit. People are breeding dogs that are not supposed to be bred. And I even fall in that category. I try to get back into the game. Like these dogs that I got right now, I would not. I wouldn't say I would not breed, but from what I had before, even though it's the same shit I pretty much had, it's just a different person picking. You see what I'm saying? And then from the breedings that I've pretty much done in the last 2 years, he even sees why there's a big difference. It's like if you don't have the mindset to actually breed dogs one way, because the the standard is what it is. Like people don't really want to. They try to say, "Oh, it's vague," and it's not vague at all. It's just it's specific. You go look at other standards. It's same as theirs. You can go to any other breed. They have a standard that lines up the way ours is lined up, and you will see structured dogs probably out of the top, I would say 5 to 10 kennels of any breed. Once you get past that, this any dog breed, I don't think is meant for everybody to be breeding. You see what I'm saying? Like that takes people with knowledge. That takes people, especially when you're breeding them for the ring. That's two different things. Like I understand people breeding to keep the breed going or breeding, but if you're breeding for the ring, you're breeding for a standard. It's obvious. It's precise. It's right in front of your face. But people keep wanting to take shortcuts and act like the shit, certain shit ain't there in their dogs. There's disqualifying faults that I've seen in the number one dog in the country. How the fuck is a number one dog in the country right now today has a disqualifying fault? I'm not gonna point it out. I'm not gonna say nothing, but it's right there in the standard for you guys to figure out. Same thing as a number 2 and number 3. Now, this ain't me talking shit. Go look for yourself. Pay attention to what a disqualifying fault is. Look at the dog and make that decision for yourself. A lot of people cannot do that for some reason. See the difference. They just think a dog is the way it looks. Oh, it's badass. Like I've had a lot of I would say subpar dogs. I just let them go. One second. Go out inside. Marcus, get your sister.
Okay.
Kids trying to find. My bad.
You're good.
But
You're good.
it's I think if it's just like this right now. I talked to maybe about 10 different people, and everybody's kind of like all over the place. And this ain't me calling them out or nothing like that. It's just that when you start really breaking down if they really know structure and what dogs to put together to actually accomplish that goal, it kind of lost. You see what I'm saying? When it's pretty much cut and dry. The standard said dogs supposed to have straight top lines. Standard said dog well straight or descending top. It's not as hard if you're trying to breed dogs with nice top lines. Stop breeding the dogs that have high rears. Look in the pedigree and see if 3-4 generations how many dogs have high rears. It's kind of easy like to kind of put together a dog. I'm talking about even how fucked up some of these dogs is you guys are talking about can be fixed in one generation. And I'm not talking about completely fixed, but going towards the right direction. And that's what breeding is. You see what I'm saying? You have to breed to improve your blood. To me, there's not enough real razor edge stock to me or Gotti stock or whatever they want to call an American Bully that has those tangibles. You know what I mean? All the way around. You keep seeing in like 1 or 2 dogs from different lines, and there's no consistency because the majority of the dogs are fucked up. But until we get to the fact of where either somebody's gonna breed dog, change the standard to a bulldog, pretty much, because if you look at the structure of the American, I would say 90% of the American bullies nowadays, they don't have no top lines, they don't have no nice rears, and if they do, go look at their mom and their dad. Mom and dad is stifled. Fucking grand, all of them is all fucked. So it's a fluke or it's a camera trick or people don't want to, you know what I mean? Really pay attention to, actually what's going on with the dogs. I just haven't seen a lot of nice ones. That's just me personally. And that was even back then. That's what I'm saying. It has nothing really to do with right now. Even back then, there was only like 3 or 4 kennels that actually got it right. You see what I'm saying? Like there wasn't like a mass majority of motherfuckers with these nice show dogs, man.
Yeah.
You know
No,
what I mean? Like this is
yeah, no, I follow you there. I know a lot of people must want me to ask you, who do you feel is your best production?
I would say either King Kong, probably King Kong. Gorilla's King Kong is off of Patty Cakes and Thing. A lot of people don't know nothing about that dog. I sold him when he was 11 months. He was kind of fucking teetering up and down, and that's why I say a lot of people ain't like, oh, this dog had a high rear. Did you see him when he fully developed? That's just to raise his blood. That shit goes up and down. So he was looking probably about 11 months. He probably one of my worst productions. I was kept looking at the dog like, fuck. This dude kept hitting me up to buy the fucking dog. And I was like, man, you sure you want this dog, man? He's like, man, you're not letting the he knew the blood better than I do. He was like, bro, you gotta let the blood develop. I guarantee you he's gonna be the shit. Long story short, I gave him up at 11 months. I seen him at 3 years old. Fucking immaculate, man. Like, man, could have been probably like one of my next dogs by far, like to like come out and campaign with or whatever. He wasn't into showing. He wasn't into. And I seen the picture you put up of him. That's like a 12-month-old picture. There's some other stuff out there. like you know, if you really want to see. And then this is another thing. I also bred him to boots. That's another thing a lot of people don't know. Some of my better productions is from, was it him to boots? No, yeah. Let me remember this shit. Yeah, I bred him to boots, and ended up with two males. One is still alive. He's in Arizona. Some guy has him or whatever. The other one got hit by a car. Man, I gave him to one of my friends. The first big male I had. But even those dogs, even off of him, and I don't judge like it off of kind of like how everybody else looks at it. They want to say Appletini because she won so much. To me, Appletini by far wasn't one of my cleanest dogs. And by far wasn't one of my nicer females. Um, that's just what those people who think they know my blood or whatever would honestly think that. Because she has sisters that were nicer than her structurally. Fucking Little Kim was nicer than her structurally, and Arena by far blew her off the water. And these are both full sisters. One's from the breeding that she's actually in, a litter mate or belly mate, and then the other one's from the second breeding, which is a litter mate. You see what I'm saying? So I did two breedings with Sugar Daddy and Boots, pretty much.
I gotta look those females up, man, because
Yeah,
Appletini looks
that's
really
what I'm
good.
saying. If I had, I could send you all that stuff. But I don't really know how to do that shit. But to me, and that's what I'm saying. Lil Kim was bred. Like she was my first pick off of that, off the first Sugar Daddy and Boots breeding, which produced Appletini, and she was bred. She produced a dog named Jackson, and she also produced a dog named Shocks, which was which ended up being a champion. Jackson, to me, by far my best production. See, that's what I'm saying. I could go over and over. Like, I just don't remember. But Jackson, to me, we were getting him ready for the shows. Man, something ended up happening to him too. But he was like pretty much the dog that was going to come out after Teeny and all of them. Real nice male, real nice head, pocket, structure, fucking off the chain, descending top line, turn, moving everything. His brother ended up championing out, and I was getting him ready. You know what I mean? Like, so I ended up giving them to one of my, pretty much my god brother, which is the godfather to my son or whatever. And fucker ended up getting hit by a fucking car. But and then another thing too, have you seen? There's a female that I produced that's like all over. Like if you look at Bully Badass TV, they say like what to look for and picking a show quality American Bully. A lot of people don't know that dog right there is a dog that I produced. That's another dog to me is a fucking probably one of the top dogs to me. Production like if you look at that video and you see that dog and you see how that dog is built, that's a perfect American Bully. She's probably man, I wouldn't say twice the size as Teeny, but she's a standard dog. A lot more bone, a lot more size, a lot more chest drop. Movement was immaculate, and that man, I can't remember. I remember her mom's name. Her mom was Dulce from Gorilla Kennels. I can't remember the
You know
name of
that.
that damn.
That's
Huh?
how I actually found you on from YouTube from um documentary TV today with
Yeah, yeah,
Bully
Bully Badass TV. Well,
Body
he
back in
changed
the
the
day,
documentary.
and that's how I found you years ago. I've been actually trying to get in contact with you for years. Um, when I saw a picture of Albertini somewhere, then I came across the video on YouTube, and I was like, Gorilla Kennels. Where do I find them? I saw like there's a page on Facebook, but it wasn't updated. You know, um, but for those people that for a lot of the new people that don't know you, if you go on YouTube and you type in Gorilla Kennels, you will see some of his stuff. You know,
And
some of
then
his.
even if you knew, like if when Bully Badass TV, like that was like that's for one, that's one of my boys. I'm real cool with Zeke. Still talk to him. I haven't talked to him in a while, but pretty sure I can talk. But he's probably, man, I got maybe half of his videos got my dogs in there, either from the early stages of what I was doing to maybe even the later stages, like all those dogs in there, Lil Kim, Marina, Muggsy, Deuce, 805, even Prophecy. Prophecy was another dog that I produced that was really, really nice. Owned by Bully the Kid up there in Atlanta.
Okay.
He also champion. I don't know if he grand champion up. I gotta go. I'll go look. I'm pretty sure he grand. He's a grand champion too. And that's another thing. Off that Sugar Daddy and Booth breeding, I got 3 grand champions. I think 2 champions.
Oh wow. Okay.
Off the first breeding.
Uh-huh.
No, because Muggsy's off the. Well, the first breeding I got 2 grams, which is Appletini and Prophecy. Who championed out? Beast. I'm trying to think, man. That's what I'm saying, man. I'm trying my
It's
best
just
to get all this shit situated, bro. But all we did was go to shows, man. We went to shows all year long, all over the country. We won fucking everywhere, even before Appletini. And that's kind of what I wanted to get on too. There's a lot of people kind of taking credit for Appletini. You can't take credit for Appletini without taking credit for everything else. So why you sit up there and that's my whole thing. If you're taking credit for Appletini, why don't you never bring up her brothers and sisters? Why do you never bring up her dad? Why do you never bring up all these dogs that are winning dogs other than Appletini that has won at a high level, but you guys keep bringing up Appletini? And another thing I want to get clear. If you post Appletini, this dog comes from a accredited kennel, you need to put Gorilla's Appletini. Like it's just very disrespectful that I got dudes that wasn't even a part of my inner circle or a part of my crew. It's every time something comes up about that dog, they got something to post, something to say. When I was around, they wasn't around. They wasn't winning. They wasn't doing nothing. Appletini's mom has 2 sisters. I've never heard of them doing anything in the show ring whatsoever. Coco is Boots' mom. She's been bred 6, 7 times. She doesn't have anything in the ring. I'm the only one that has that certain blood that I chose to put into my line, and that was winning with it. So when people say, "Oh, Appletini, oh, she was a bad bitch," and this and that, you got to remember there was a whole line of dogs that came behind that dog before that dog was even born, of winning dogs from Gorilla Kennels. I see why people would want to take credit for a dog of that magnitude. It's just kind of disrespectful when we were out there whooping everybody's ass with the dog. You see what I'm saying? Like, they wasn't with us. They wasn't around us. They wasn't helping. They wasn't paying no fuel fees, no nothing. Jesse is a guy that I know since I was 12 years old. That's how he ended up with Appletini. So it's like a lot of people can sit up here and say this and this and that, but he ended up with Appletini. If everybody don't know the story, I don't want to like get into it or whatever. He never paid for the fucking dog, so I own the dog. Period. I gave him the dog. I could have took the dog back, but we were going to shows. We were paying for the shows. Me and my little crew. He was with us at all times, but he didn't join Gorilla Camp until Appletini was like 6 months. We already had our shit going. You know what I'm saying? He did some shit, didn't end up paying for it. We were still supporting and taking to the shows. That's why everybody's like, "Oh, do you own her?" Yeah, if you want to see her grand champion championship papers, I own them. They're in my name. Do you see what I'm saying? It's because he never paid for the dog. Love Jesse to death before all that shit happened. Real cool dude, you know what I mean? He did his thing with Appletini, but to say this is directly towards a person, Ron Ramos. For him to say that he was specifically the reason why that dog did that shit and why she won, that's kind of funny. You got Patty Cakes that was winning on a big level. which is another one of my dogs. Baby Cakes, which is off of Patty Cakes, which won at probably won 20, 25 best in breeds. Sugar Daddy, another dog off of Patty Cakes, that's won over 10 best in breeds. And then you trickle down into my third and fourth generation, which for some reason people forget that I was winning all that time before this dog was even born. And all of a sudden I do a breeding to this one dog. They never bring up her brothers or sisters. They never bring up Mugshot. They never bring up Beast. They never bring up Prophecy. These is all credited dogs. Like, they can say whatever they want, but if you're just picking one dog to pick because she's the most winningest dog, probably in most winningest female, maybe in ABKC history. I don't know. And this is why I say that. All these other dogs, I've seen a lot of these females that have came up after we were gone and shit. We were Teeny was winning shows with 1,500 dogs there. Like, there wasn't no like 100 dogs or 10 dogs or 50 dogs or ever how the fuck they do it nowadays. Even Sugar Daddy, when he was winning shows, there's 1,200 dogs there. Like, it's a big difference nowadays showing dogs when you got only a few classes and a couple dogs. We're beating the Bulldogs, the Frenchies, the Shorty Bulls, all that shit. Best in shows. And that's what I'm saying. This is before fucking Appletini was even fucking born. And that's what I'm saying. They're taking credit away from my kennel by sitting up there acting like that was the only dog that I had that was winning, which is ridiculous. And another thing, this is what I want to say. Since Coco was such a prevalent part of my program, they say, you see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that she wasn't. But how does dogs like Sugar Daddy and Baby Cakes win on the levels that they were winning if they wasn't shit? You see what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And these are the dogs all before them. There's a few other people, man. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to take jabs at people. I just want people to know what really happened, because there's a lot of questions and speculations about where Boots came from. Doesn't matter where she came from. I bought her, put her in my program, used her, and produced nice dogs to move forward. Everybody else had that. What's the name? They, had that same opportunity, had the damn near the same dogs, and did nothing with them because they did other stuff, went other routes with them. But and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just to take credit away from somebody that actually had a real program, that actually was breeding dogs from structure and actually doing a thing. It's kind of it's just weird, man. But that's what I'm saying. You want to take credit for that dog? Why don't you take credit for all the other ones that was winning? Because they have nothing to do. That's what I'm saying. Even her, she has nothing to do with them. If they want to act like she has something to do with them, they should have had at least something, man. Boots had 2 sisters, bro. She was out there. Why didn't they make anything? I ain't heard of no champions, no first place, no nothing. Never heard of none of them dogs. Coco's been bred 7 times, 6, 7 times. Where are the productions off of those dogs? Other than Appletini, Mugshot, the shit that I did with it. And that's because I had a vision and I used those dogs and pushed it forward. It wasn't nobody else's, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to like when I first started off, I knew Ron kind of real good. I knew him through Lupe. We were all cool and stuff, but they just got different ways of doing things and different visions. And I want to kill something that was thrown out there. Somebody said, I got Boots for free, which is a weird statement to say. It really don't matter, but I just don't like that people say that. This is how I got Boots. I did a breeding with Sugar Daddy. With Sugar Free and Patty Cakes that produced Sugar Daddy, Baby Cakes, and all of them.
Okay, not cutting you.
Was in that. Go ahead.
No, not cutting you off, but we got 1 minute left remaining on the time. But continue.
Damn. All right, if we shit, I don't know what to say now.
Because we definitely got to do a part 2.
Okay. Well, if we got 1 minute left, this is all I gotta say. These are the dogs that I produced. The people that helped me was fucking Jesse, Jose, Junior. Man, I can't remember. My homeboy Ruben, Phil from H&H. He's got a lot of Muggsy stuff. All those people combined together is what made Gorilla Camp or Gorilla Kennels, because back then we was pushing Gorilla Camp. I did the majority of the breeding. I did a lot of the showing before I just kind of got fed up. But for people, if you ain't a part of that like camp or group or whatever, man, I wouldn't even. Bro, they know what type of line we was pushing, man. They know what type of shit we was on. For people to take credit for those dogs and not.
One.
Okay, I just wanted to wrap up the interview. As you saw, it ended abruptly. So, Mike had a lot to say. Made me think about a lot, but I wanted to thank him for spending the time to in his schedule to just come and spend time with us and give us his thoughts about what he's been dealing with in the past. I've been trying to contact him for a while, and it was good for me that I was able to hear from him. I know other people also were asking questions about some of his dogs, like Appletini, if he was still breeding, and I don't think he got to mention it, but he said that he is getting back into the dogs, which I think will be good news for the community. But I wanted to end this properly instead of just having a choppy ending. So we will see you guys next week. All right. If you like the video, feel free to subscribe, leave your comments, click that like button, and stay tuned.